we go. So you can see our beautiful campus.
Wow. And it really is beautiful, Alma.
It is. I agree.
Wow.
Well, you saw it the last time in the rain, so it's not as spectacular in the rain, but
It was rainy that day.
Beautiful.
and we have a few of our scholars here doing their work.
Nice.
Great slides. Yes, they are.
Nice. Nice intro. I like that.
Love it. Action shots. Look at that.
Wow.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
I think that's it. I think we will get started. And Diana, may I ask you to monitor the entrance of further participants and admit them into the meeting?
Yes, absolutely.
And is this being recorded, Alma?
It is,
Yeah.
yes. All right, this is my turn to start this meeting off. Welcome to this year's ARCS Scholar Meet and Greet. My name is Almut Wolf, and I'd like to warmly welcome our guests from the ARCS Foundation and extend a heartfelt thanks for their generous sponsorship of our graduate scientists with unrestricted funding. Your enthusiasm for graduate research and your genuine interest in each ARCS scholar are truly inspiring. And special appreciation today goes to Janet Goodson from the ARCS Foundation for her superb planning and meticulous attention to detail, which has brought this event together so seamlessly.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome this year's cohort of 16 ARCS scholars. Each of you was nominated by your department into a pool of candidates and then selected by a faculty-led committee. Congratulations again, and welcome to the ARCS community. ARCS scholars, in addition to the generous financial support, you also benefit from professional development and networking opportunities, such as this meet and greet and the annual symposium in San Francisco. I'd also like to highlight events hosted at UCSC, particularly the annual Graduate Research Symposium in May of next year. I strongly encourage all ARCS scholars to participate. It's a great opportunity, and as an added bonus, you can repurpose your poster that you created for the ARCS Symposium. Back to introductions. A warm welcome as well to the two leaders at the helm of our graduate division, whose leadership is key in sustaining our graduate students and PhD programs as among the strongest in the nation. Both place high importance on professional development programs open to all grad students. These leaders are Peter Beal, Vice Provost and Dean of Graduate Studies, and Don Smith, Distinguished Professor and Associate Dean of Graduate Studies and Postdoctoral Affairs, also a faculty mentor of ARCS scholars. They are both reliable advocates of the enduring partnership between our campus and the ARCS Foundation. Before handing over the mic to Dean Beal, just a couple of housekeeping items. The session is being recorded. Please keep your cameras on if you can and your microphones off until it is your turn to speak. We will share the recording and the slides with the ARCS Foundation. And feel free to add questions in the chat during the scholar presentations. We'll have some time to answer at the end after all the scholars have presented. And with this, I'd like to invite Dean Beal to start us off.
Thank you, Almut, and welcome everybody. I already said hi when you were still in the waiting room to our wonderful students. You have now time to meet, but really my heartfelt hi, and thank you for all of you from the ARCS Foundation. I know most of you, and if I haven't met all of you in person, from the wonderful galas we had, I will see you in San Francisco. Can't wait to see it. It's one of my highlights, and which makes my job so easy. We're here today to show you a little bit the highlights of our campus. And the highlights are here, not just the slides, which I will show you and we will share with you. These are really our highlights. These are our superstars. And that's why we come every day to work, to the lab, to the archive, wherever we work, to be with them and to be inspired by them, to innovate together with them. So it is a wonderful cohort here. And I also would like to thank Don Smith, who would speak a little bit later. He keeps us all together. He runs all those competition in the background. And thank you very much, Don, for your hard work on this. And of course, Almut, who brings us a couple of times per year together. And she's doing an amazing job. It is fantastic. So is that now my turn, Almut, to put slide number 1. Is that correct? Or how do we do it?
Yes, and you can say next slide so that they get moved forward.
Perfect. Next slide. I want to give you a very quick, because I'm not here to PowerPoint you. I'm here to listen really to our wonderful graduate students and ARCS fellows. But we have a new website. And since we saw each other in the rain last time, please do check it out. Next slide, please. Our website and our newsletters. Our graduate students contributed to the newsletters. We have also written up here by Don Smith, a part of, if you look at the bottom here, the ARCS Fellows with Don Smith, an interview, but many other accolades. So please look at our new website. And I'm talking to our two constituencies, our fellow graduate students, but also our friends from the ARCS Foundation. So please check it out. It is really a brand new website. Next one. But you know who is really behind all that work? It's not just me and Don. It's all those 18 people. You might see it, and again, you get the slides of it. Who really, for our graduate students from the very beginning, admitting you in our admissions team to get you really through mentoring and student success measures to the very end of our alumni engagement, because we really want to keep you, that you always think where you got your degree. So these are all wonderful folks, and it's a really privilege and pleasure for me to lead this team. Next one. And in a nutshell, very quick, student success. This is what this is all about. And ARCS, the ARCS Foundation is about student success. It is really the 360 from professional development to excellence in basic and training and applied research, because we all know not all of you will be and want to be professors and in academia. The world is out there to innovate and to experience for you. And so we really want to have that. And if you look here at the right side, that is really, again, the 360 from the time we are reaching out to you. Hey, why don't you apply here, to the very end here, alumni engagement. And very important for us is mentoring, well-being, professional development, career development, and of course, the retention and the degree completion. And Don will talk about the super success the ARCS Fellows had here in the last couple of years. Next one. Just a little snapshot that you know where you are here in our cohorts. We have this year 279 doctoral students and 472 master students. Big shout out, communication science. We are unique. You are among here. It hasn't changed so much in regard to gender. We are pretty much in the UC range. But where we are doing a lot of really important work, and I get to that at my last slide, is our diversity. Not just diversity DEI as we really hear those letters. No, it is really people. We have an increase in American Indian, Alaska Native. We have an increase here in African American and Black students. We have staying stable in Asian students, but where we are really moving the needle is in regard to our Latinx students, and I will get to that in a second. And also, we are really high in international students, and that is important for us because we do know how important, especially right now at this particular time, is internationalization, globalization. Really keep us connected and with the world of innovators and across the world, not just in the United States of America. We are highly competitive, as you can see here. Only 30% get admitted, so that is really something, also an accolade of our teams. Next one. If you look at that, especially here for our ARCS Foundation friends, this is basically, this looks everywhere at the UC like that, and I would argue that this looks at public research universities like that. That means the upper line, the doctoral, is going down, which doesn't mean, well, they are not important, but, and we are extremely happy for our graduate students here with us for the new UAW contract. So that means they really get a much better stipend. That also means without new fresh money coming in, we do have to really rethink, number one, in regard to funding, and number two, which Don again will talk about the jobs. I mean, it's not, you're not here, graduate students, to teach, you're here to innovate. And that is really something where we are looking very much into the placement, into the student success. And therefore, we do know that the academic job market has shrunk almost the same along those lines here as we see it right now. We are very happy in increasing our number of master students. Just a little reminder, we are very unusual here at UC Santa Cruz. We have 1/3 master students and 2/3 PhD students. At the other UCs, it is the other way around. Clearly, we don't have professional schools, we don't have master schools, but what we are trying to do, and we are changing the trend, as you can see here, since 21, we are trying to have more master students to build up the workforce, and also to work with you, doctorate students, as a really, truly interdisciplinary cohort of graduate students. Next one. This one, that's the same, but I just want to remind you, this is together done with our graduate students strategic planning. We're very proud of it to achieve those goals, and we are very much here in goal 1 here on the left side, funding and supporting graduate student success. We are right in right now, where we also right in, and we don't have to wait till 2028. We have launched a lot of initiatives about fostering inclusive excellence in graduate education. Of course, the elevating and enhancing support for graduate students means housing is a long and heavy lift here at UC Santa Cruz, but also we are working on that. So please, you get those slides. Look again if you haven't seen it. This comes from our strategic plan, which was actually written and built up by you graduate students on the committees which we led. Next one. And then here, very important, very, very important, especially with our friends from the ARCS Foundation, mentoring is really the core part of student success. And we have a couple of initiatives, and please check it out. What we are doing, we have successful mentoring practices. We have peer mentoring. So this is really, really important. On the left side, you see we are very proud of one of the only four UC campuses with a 5-year funding commitment, or 2 for MFA students. And this is really something which we hear now, the first impact, that students feel less anxious because they have really a guaranteed, a committed 5-year funding package. Next one. And just in case, again, if you haven't looked at it, it's all online on our new website, the strategic plan. I cited from that. And if you want to dig deeper, especially our friends from the ARCS Foundation, here is the ITF, the Inclusive Excellence in Graduate Education. Don is one of the co-authors, where you really see how we are leading in graduate education at the UC level, but really, believe me, also at the national level, what we have been studied, researched, and implementing right now. Next one. And just next one. Just like a little bit to end, when I'm talking about that, we are moving really into a graduate cohort, which looks like the country. We are leading in this space in the HSRU, which is Hispanic Serving Research Universities. And I'm really proud. I'm coming from a showcase this morning where our graduate students, I was on a panel and interviewed them, and how important it is that we are investing that in this initiative. Next one. And we are sharing here, we at the moment 22 universities, mostly in the Southwest, but we have also CUNY in New York. And these are all Hispanic serving institutions. So HSI means they have more than 25% of undergraduate Latinx students. And in addition, they're research run. And believe it or not, I mean, when I saw the first time this number, because we have about 600 or so universities in this country, which have the seal of HSI, but we only have 22 where research is done, and we are one of them. Next one. And we have two goals, and led at the moment also a big highlight by our Chancellor Cindy LaRiff. She is the chair for 2 years. I'm the chair of the graduate schools, the 22 graduate schools. And what our goal really is, double the number of Hispanic doctoral students at our universities, and leading to an increase in 20% of Hispanic in the professoriate. And very proud, I'm on this steering committee, announce that we are also launching the missing link between the two. And some of you, our graduate students, really are interested in that, because the missing link is, of course, the postdoc. So we are launching an HSIU postdoc program this year, and you would see more about it on the website. Next one. And I think this is my last slide. That means I would now hand over to Don, who just can talk a little bit about the ARCS Foundation, what he has done. He can also talk about something we are very proud, a member of A2I, Accelerator to Industry. He can talk about that, and wrapping it up with success, because that is a success story, how successful we are placing our ARCS fellows into either industry, in the labs, or into academia. Don.
Thanks, Peter. So it's great to be here, and I welcome everybody. I have only a few words to say before I hand it over to the ARCS Foundation board members that are here. The first thing I want to talk about a little bit is the efforts that we've been pursuing along with the ARCS Foundation to track the placement, the career placement of our ARCS scholars once they graduate with their graduate degree and go into a career path. And we've identified over 100 of our former ARCS scholars and where they are, and we'll be working with the ARCS Foundation board members to ideally build up a program where we can enhance the network and community of ARCS scholars, so that our current ARCS scholars, like all of you here, and will have access to our alumni ARCS scholars, graduate alumni, and be able to be part of that broader community and benefit potentially from interactions and mentorship from them. So that's something we're working on, we're very excited about, and hope to have move forward in the next number of months, or if not the next year. Related to that is we've got several new exciting new developments here on our campus. Peter mentioned one of them. It's the Accelerate to Industry. It's an A2I initiative. And it's I want to encourage all of you ARCS scholars who are here today to look that up on the Graduate Division website. It's a professional development effort in which we're partnering with industry partners. We have NVIDIA lined up already, and we're setting up an arrangement with Genentech, and we'll build more industry partners in order for them to interface with our graduate students in an intimate environment to provide insights and career advice, a resume review, job interview, mock job interview, training, all these kinds of things in order to better prepare our current graduate students to enter the workforce in some of these kinds of industries. Right? And so we have programming that we're scheduled for this fall, and we'll be doing more programs in the winter and the spring with Genentech. And you can look on the Grad Div website, like I said, under the A2I or Accelerate to Industry for more information. A second exciting thing that's just launched this year for us is that UC Santa Cruz was invited by the Panetta Institute for Public Policy to nominate up to 2 students per term, 4 per year, to participate in the Public Policy Research Fellows Program that the Panetta Institute offers at their institute headquarters in Cal State Monterey Bay campus. This is an extremely exciting, we think, unique and powerful opportunity for graduate students who may be interested in going into the area of public policy. And they can participate in this program. It's a weekly seminar series, very small, about 6 or 8 students. It's run in part by Leon Secretary Panetta and his wife, and they bring in a host of politicians from local area, state of California, to really help students understand how to build consensus to achieve policy outcomes. So the call for that has just gone out for students. If any of you are interested in participating in this Public Policy Institute at the Panetta Institute in the spring semester, the call went out and applications are due by December 4th. And if you have any questions, you can email me and I can send you the call if you didn't see it come by your email. So that's also very exciting. The last thing I want to say is I'll started by again noting that we're strongly encouraging all the ARC scholars to participate in the Graduate Division Graduate Symposium that's being held in the spring. In the realm of our efforts to increase professional development for our students, presenting your research at the Graduate Symposium is one of those. And like she said, you could take the poster you're going to develop for the ARC Symposium in San Francisco and present the same poster here at the Graduate Symposium at UC Santa Cruz. The other really exciting and important professional development opportunity we provide is the Grad Slam event. And that's an event that students can enter through their academic division, including all of you, and compete at the divisional level. And then the top 2 presenters at the divisional level will then compete for a campus-wide competition that's held at the Kumba Jazz Center in the early part of 2025. And the winner of that goes and competes with the university-wide across all the 10 campuses at the LinkedIn Center in San Francisco. And Peter, the first prize is, what is it, 10,000, 15,000?
The first prize is 10,000 and we never won it. So all of you, really, come on, get the training, go out there, hit it out of the ballpark. We want to win, okay? Yes, and please look at those opportunities. It's much more than winning $10,000. It is really learning how to communicate, learning how to make your peers interested, because most people do not know what graduate students do. And that's a wonderful way. So I encourage you to do that. And we will, of course, lean on our friends at the ARCS Foundation to become judges, etc. So please be ready for it. Okay, good. I'm sure we have time for questions maybe later. It's now my great privilege to hand over to Heidi and Diana.
Hi, guys. I'm one of the co-VPs of University Relations, and you guys are just, I mean, unbelievable. And I was a judge in that last go-round, and it was great fun. I mean, and you meet some wonderful, wonderful students. So thank you for inviting me to do that last year. Anyway, I just want to spend a minute because as unique as I think all of you are, I think ARCS is as well. And I don't know if any of you know about the history of ARCS, and I'd like to share just a few minutes with you because it's different from probably most of the other foundations that are supporting you or that you're familiar with. And specifically, let me ask a question. I don't know if any of the grad students know this, but I asked this to Berkeley a little earlier in the week. One student got it right. So Amit, make sure that I find anybody who does. Does anybody know what happened on October 4th, 1957? And you can't Google it. You have to either know it or whatever. Yeah, I can see a lot of shaking heads. Well, let me tell you, Amit knows. Yeah. Okay, so that was the launch of Sputnik. And think about what that ushered in the world. I mean, if you go back and you look at the environment, 1957, 1958. It's a scant 12 years after the end of World War II. We're into the nuclear age. We've got, an environment that in which the Soviets were basically camped out in most of Eastern Europe. I mean, it was really, really a difficult, challenging time in which we were trying to all heal and move on with a better life. Well, one of the things that happened with Sputnik is that President Eisenhower became very, very concerned about how the United States was doing in terms of its scientific development. And I'd like to read what he actually stated. So President Eisenhower, in early 1958, so just a few months after the launch of Sputnik, remarked, he said, "We need scientists in the next 10 years ahead. So scrutinize your school's curriculum and standards and then decide for yourselves whether they meet the stern demands of the era we are entering." And he publicized that through all universities. And what happened was, of course, it came into, it was in the media, and it was, great conversation. Well, what does that have to do with ARCS? Well, in that same year, in 1958, after Eisenhower put out that challenge, there were a group of women in Los Angeles who got together and decided that they should put their money where their mouths were about this, and they founded ARCS. And so ARCS is a woman-founded and still managed organization. And if you go back to that era, that was so unusual in that time. I mean, you just didn't have women, founding foundations. And so what have we done going forward? If we look at it in the 65 years we've been around, we have had over 21,000 awards, totaling $136 million and supporting 11,000 scholars over that period of time. And of course, you are part of them. And I mean, we are so dedicated because we believe that you are the future in terms of being able to answer the critical problems of this century and your generation. But I'd like to, that's a brief history of ARCS, but I'd like to turn it over right now to Diana Moore, who's one of our co-presidents, to talk more specifically about our chapter. So thank you
Heidi.
very much.
Yes, thank you, Heidi. And first of all, we want to be sure, all of us, to congratulate our ARC scholars and also to thank you so much for being with us today. We know it can't be easy to get you all together at the same time. The history that Heidi describes led to the founding of our chapter 55 years ago, founded with the hope of solving the world's biggest challenges through science. And that means you. As an ARC scholar, you're part of a greater whole. Over our 55 years, our chapter now, the Northern California chapter, which supports 7 great universities, has awarded almost $27 million to over 3,150 students. You can connect with our current and our former ARC scholars, which we urge you to do by connecting with us on LinkedIn. That way you'll know where they are now, what they're studying and researching, where they're working. And we'd like to be able to keep up with each of you also. So we'll put our LinkedIn is now in the chat, and we urge you all to connect with us there. Our message today, really from us, our chapter, to you, our UC Santa Cruz scholars, is really just that we want you to know that we're behind you all the way. We enjoy learning about your work. We're keenly interested in it. We're inspired by your commitment to it, and we're proud of our association with you. And you'd be surprised by how often we think of you. So now we're eager to hear from you. So I don't know which scholar is going first, but we're ready to hear from you.
Can we have the slides, please? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for having us all here today. Alma, am I good to just start? Okay, thank you so much. My name is Sophie Aiken, and I am a 5th-year graduate student in the mathematics department. My area of research is called geometric analysis and conformal geometry. So what that means is that I try to answer geometric questions, so questions about the curvature or the shape of a space, using tools from analysis, so using differential equations. That's what geometric analysis is. And conformal geometry means I ask questions, again, about the shape of the space, but only caring about their sort of conformal properties. So I want to maintain angles if I change my space, but it's okay if I stretch or dilate where distance changes. So with that setup, One prominent question in geometric analysis is sort of classifying these spaces, these manifolds, based on their curvature. And a project that I'm currently working on is to say if I'm given two spheres, things that I know already have constant curvature. So spheres, for example, have constant curvature positive because they're sort of curved. A flat plane would have constant curvature 0. It's not curved. We want to see if, given these two spheres, there's a way to glue them together at a puncture point. If I punch a hole in each one, make a little hole, can I glue that together and still have something that has constant curvature? So the way we imagine it in our heads, it looks like sort of a dumbbell shape that would not have constant curvature everywhere, but can I change the metric sort of by hand so that it actually does? That's the question that I'm working on. And I'm lucky enough right now to be doing this work as a visiting PhD scholar at the Center for Mathematical Modeling at the Universidad de Chile. And for me, what the ARC scholarship means is that once I get back to California, I'll be able to use this money to have a little bit more time, sort of reduce some of my teaching responsibilities so that I can continue these sort of worldwide connections with really outstanding researchers. So I'm very happy to be able to, in the future, represent UC Santa Cruz and represent ARCS as an international scholar, working with all of these people. So thank you so much. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mar Arroyo, and I use he, him pronouns. I'm currently a fifth-year PhD student in the Ocean Sciences Department, and I study marine carbon cycling in efforts to better understand the ocean's role in regulating global climate. So my research here at UCSC has been primarily supported by UC itself through the Cotarrobles Fellowships, the dissertationary fellowships, now addition to ARCS. And when I'm away from my computer, I really enjoy walking around Santa Cruz and listening to music and eating spicy foods. But about my research, so humans are emitting massive amounts of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere through fossil fuel burning and changes in land use. And a portion of that CO2 gas gets taken up by the ocean, about 30% each year. And while that may be some good news for us because it offsets the rate of global warming, this uptake of fossil fuel carbon by the ocean causes changes to seawater chemistry that have implications for the health of marine ecosystems and marine life. So in my research, I use global ocean models to characterize historical patterns of change to ocean carbon chemistry because of this increase in fossil carbon. So this includes thinking about changes to how carbon is biogeochemically cycled in the surface ocean, primarily on seasonal timescales, and also thinking about regional patterns of seawater chemistry key change, like the different patterns of ocean acidification in the open ocean versus the coastal zone. So broadly, the goal of my work is to get a better understanding of how the oceans have already changed because of fossil fuel emissions, so we can better predict how the ocean will respond in the future. So thank you, ARCS, for supporting my work. I'm excited I get to work on research that's meaningful to me and thinking about how climate change affects our oceans and what that means for our livelihood. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rita Axenfeld. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm part of the Science Communications Department here at UC Santa Cruz. So our work in the Science Communications Department is not actually to create more research, but share all of the exciting research all of you do with the general public. So in general, we talk to you all about your research, and then we write up articles or make documentaries or podcasts so that everyone else in the world can see all of the amazing work all of you are doing. And in general, I in particular want to focus on making all of this work accessible to populations who don't really think they can get science because they found it unapproachable in school, but just show them that their curiosity about the world is exactly what scientists are doing. And I'd also like to make sure that this work is accessible to people with various disabilities that might make it a little bit more difficult to, say, read an article, but they're happy to, let's say, listen to a podcast. So thank you so much for this funding. It makes it possible for me to be in this program and have the time to share all of this cool science with the world. So thank you. And next slide.
Hi, my name is Christina Blabea, and I am a fourth year environmental studies PhD candidate, and I study tropical forest restoration. We can restore tropical forests in many different ways, from planting a whole bunch of trees to just letting the forest regrow naturally to planting tree islands. And I look at ant communities within these different restoration methodologies. Ants are super important because they provide a whole suite of ecosystem services, and I'm particularly interested in seed dispersal. So ants can grab a seed from a plant, they then clean that seed, they disperse it far away from the parent plant, and they actually plant it in sites that are really favorable to germination. So I look at how tropical forest restoration impacts the ant communities and how those ant communities in turn impact the plants that show up at these restoration sites. ARCS scholarship is super important to me because it allows me to embrace my humanity and do research in a time and place that is appropriate for me. I had a baby over the summer, and unfortunately, as a student worker at UC, you don't get paid enough to access childcare, and the childcare that you do have access to is not safe for 3-month-olds. So I'm able to, through ARCS, continue my research during nap times and throughout the entire night. So thank you once again for all of your support. And next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Tara Gainey. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a fourth year PhD candidate in the Earth and Planetary Sciences department here at UCSC. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and then moved to Connecticut, where I attended Wesleyan University and got my bachelor's with a double major in earth science and astronomy. Eventually, I kind of tailored my interests and landed here at UCSC, where I study the global carbon cycle, the chemistry of seawater, and climate change mitigation strategies at the intersection of those two things. So specifically, my ARCS-funded research uses a computer model, or it's really a hierarchy of different computer models to simulate how the Earth's ocean atmosphere system has evolved over time. And using that modeling approach, I'm kind of interested in two different themes or research questions. The first of those themes asks how the chemistry of our oceans has changed over time through Earth's history. And then I'm seeking to, kind of tease out what the role of those changes in seawater chemistry is in regulating the global carbon cycle and our climate system. The second theme then kind of builds on the knowledge of those relationships between ocean chemistry and the global carbon cycle to ask how we might alter seawater chemistry now in the present day to mitigate anthropogenic climate change through these global carbon cycle processes. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful to ARCS for offering me the academic freedom to kind of kickstart this new project of mine, which is on the climate change mitigation strategies. And I'm really excited to explore that application of my expertise. Next slide, please.
Hey, my name is Frankie Garrity, and I'm a fourth year PhD candidate at the in the Ecology and Evolutionary Biology department here at UCSC. And I'm an ecologist, and I study connections between land and sea. And I'm particularly interested in how marine nutrients or nutrients from the ocean work their way into terrestrial food webs. And so one of my main projects right now has been looking at interactions between coastal coyotes and seals, and sort of putting some numbers to the role of seals as a food source for coyotes in various areas with lots of seal carcasses that are available to them. I'm also a surfer and a rock climber, and I have a fun collection of houseplants at home that I like to take care of. I'm really grateful to the ARCS Foundation for their support of my work. I've been responsible for funding all of my research projects, and I'm doing some genetic analyses and camera trapping that are really expensive. So this has been super useful and coming at a really important time for my research in providing support for some of those key analyses for my work. So thank you so much to all of you for coming and for your support. Next slide, please.
Hi there.
My name is Anna Fitzgerald Guth. I use she, her pronouns. Like my colleague Rita, you just heard from, I'm currently in the Science Communication Master's program at UC Santa Cruz. Previously, I earned my bachelor's in English and Environmental Studies from Wesleyan University. In addition to being an ARCS scholar, I was honored to receive the California Coastal Climate Resilience Science Policy Communication Fellowship, as well as several other fellowships. So my focus is really on the intersection of science and policy. A personal note is that I enjoy open water swimming, particularly in the ocean. Saw some fellow Dolphin Club members here and also some Wesleyan grads. As far as my ARCS funded research, I'm committed to journalistic reporting on specifically on environmental, agricultural, and climate science in California. This quarter, I'm an intern at the Monterey Herald, and we have a new internship every quarter throughout the program. I'm currently working on articles for Science, Manga Bay, Mercury News, EOS, and the Monterey Herald. The ARCS Scholar Award financially supports me to get this graduate education, and I'm also really grateful for the invaluable support of the ARCS Foundation and its diverse network of scholars. So I'm honored to join this network as a science communicator. Next slide.
Hi, my name is Eric Malekos. I'm in the Department of Biomolecular Engineering. Sorry, I have a cold, so I'm even more nasally than usual. Sorry about the voice. But I'm an NIH predoctoral fellow in the Carpenter Lab, where we study the immune system. And I was an intern at Genentech last summer, where I worked on early research in cancer vaccine development. So it's exciting to hear that we're partnering with Genentech. Fun fact, I was previously a member of the National Guard before I started my PhD. And when I got into the program at UC Santa Cruz, we all decided that would be a better use of my time than National Guard drills. So luckily they relieved me of my duties. My thesis work has two main foci. So the first is looking at these newly discovered peptides that are upregulated during inflammation. Chronic inflammation is a public health issue that we're facing. So we're trying to understand how we might be able to mitigate it by understanding these different peptides that are expressed. And the other facet of my work is planning CRISPR gene editing experiments that also take into account human genetic variation, because a gene therapy for one person might be ineffective or dangerous to another person based on our differences in DNA sequences. I'm planning to use my ARCS funds for science communication. So I've already been to a conference in San Diego with some of the funds, and I'm hoping to go to the American Association of Immunologists conference in Hawaii this spring and bring my wife, which would be a nice and small thank you for all the support she's given me during my PhD. So I'm really excited about that. Next slide, please.
Hello, my name is Adam Molnar, and I use he, him pronouns, and I'm in the physics department. My interests are in something called solid state detector instrumentation. So instrumentation is generally, rather than sort of the analysis of physics, it's building the detectors that we use to do particle physics experiments. And in particular, solid state just refers to the fact that we're usually using silicon or diamond or other materials like this. In my previous employment, I worked at both Fermilab and LBNL, two national labs, where I also worked on solid state detectors. I'm a HEPCAT fellow, which is a instrumentation-based fellowship, and then my hobbies include foam combat sports and wildlife photography. In particular, my ARCS research is focused on something called the ATAR, the active target. This is a novel, and depending on who you ask, either 4D or 5D, the first 4D or 5D tracker that's ever going to be used in the particle physics world for the context of this Pioneer experiment. Pioneer is a rare pion decay experiment, so we basically want to measure the ratio of pion decay very, very, very precisely. And to do that, we need to use these next generation bleeding edge detectors, which is what I am focusing on. So I'm doing R&D, primarily simulation work, but also some testing in person, and along with, like I've been working recently on the readout board and the readout technology that'll go into Pioneer. In particular, what the ARCS scholarship means to me is that instrumentation is unfortunately somewhat underfunded in the particle physics world, despite the fact of how critical it is in the building of future experiments such as FCC or the Muon Collider, et cetera. So the ARCS scholarship has provided me the unique opportunity to pursue what my true passion in physics is, which is instrumentation, while also being able to pursue something that is one of the harder things to find funding for in the physics world. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Hey everyone, my name is Joey Murphy. I'm a final year PhD candidate in the Department of Astronomy and Astrophysics. And yeah, it's exciting to hear there's another dolphin on the call, Anna. So yeah, maybe we'll see you in the water sometime. But I study exoplanets, or planets orbiting stars other than the sun. And so in the last 15 years, we've learned that planets are very common in the Milky Way. We know this because NASA's Kepler space mission continuously observed a single patch of the night sky for 4 years and watched for tiny dimming events in the light from the stars in its field of view. So these dimming events, called transits, occur when a planet passes in front of its star and casts a tiny shadow on the telescope. And Kepler used this data to show that almost every star that you see in the night sky hosts a planet. So when a telescope like Kepler detects a planet via the transit method, we get some key, fundamental properties about the planet itself, mainly its size or radius and the length of its orbital period. And you get that because a bigger planet will will cast a bigger shadow, and the shadows happen periodically. So you can see how long it takes the planet to go around its star again. But we're still missing, even with the transit, we're still missing a fundamental physical property of the planet, which is its mass. And we can use ground-based observatories like the Keck Observatory there on the slide to determine the mass of these planets with expensive ground-based follow-up. So by compiling a library of well-characterized planets with both radius measurements and mass measurements, we can learn about the fundamental physics of planet formation, evolution, and composition. So over the course of my PhD, I've worked to measure the masses of exoplanets, and especially planets that are slightly larger than Earth, but smaller than Neptune. We call them super-Earths or sub-Neptunes, aptly named. And these mass measurements require, like I said, expensive ground-based monitoring of the systems over long observing baselines. And so recently I've been working on studying how correlated noise processes in these data, when untreated, can cause mass measurement inaccuracy. And that's important because if you measure the incorrect mass for the planet, you're going to bias our understanding of the physics of planet formation. So the ARCS scholarship is, I'm really grateful for the ARCS scholarship. I was an ARCS fellow a couple years ago, actually, and really enjoyed being a part of the ARCS community, really enjoyed being on a panel at the Scholar Symposium, and can't wait for the next one in the spring. So thanks, everyone. Next slide.
Hi all, my name's Emily Nazario. Really nice to meet everyone. So I started my graduate program. I'm now a 5th year PhD candidate in the Ecology and Evolution program or department. And when I started, I had a bunch of different research interests and was excited to sort of through the years figure out how those would all come together. And so I enjoy looking at or trying to relate physiology and targeted management and conservation and habitat use of marine predators to improve how we think about conservation solutions. And so that has in turn manifested as looking at their diving physiology to understand recovery timelines following human disturbance, looking at shark metabolic rates to see how ocean deoxygenation with climate change may shape their habitat use, and working with end users such as fishing communities and shipping vessel representatives to understand their take on sort of new spatial conservation approaches that are used, and to understand their perspectives on how we can sort of better bring them into the fold when actually deploying these techniques rather than sort of top-down management structures which have been used historically. One of the most enjoyable parts of this has actually been working with fishing communities directly, surveying them. So I've been going down into San Diego, working with the swordfish fishing community there, and the ARCS scholarship has completely enabled me to attend workshops and meetings there to work with that group, as well as more broadly, as I'm also sort of been charged with finding the financial or funding the attending different meetings and research extensions. So I'm incredibly grateful for the ARCS community for helping support me in doing that. And I also enjoy thinking about conservation problems using interdisciplinary solutions. And so it's been really fun hearing everyone's research and always, yeah, excited to work with other folks from different fields. And so, yeah, been really enjoying being included. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Bảo Nguyễn. I am a PhD student in the Microbiology and Environmental Toxicology department. I am working in FitNat UD's lab. Our lab study biofilm formation in the model organism Vibrio cholera. So Vibrio cholera is the bacteria that causes the diarrheal disease cholera. Biofilm formation is a public health issue because when bacteria form biofilm, they are more resistant to antibiotics and other stressors. Therefore, it is important to study biofilm formation. So my project focused on a signaling system called cyclic di-GMP. Cyclic di-GMP is a small signaling molecule that is produced by most bacteria, including Vibrio cholera. I am studying how this cyclic di-GMP signaling system sends environmental amino acid and affects biofilm formation. I am in my last year of my graduate study. I am writing a manuscript and is planning to submit it next quarter. Getting the ARCS scholarship means a lot to me. I don't have to TA and focus entirely on my research and writing. So thank you so much for awarding me the scholarship. I love sewing. So if I were not a microbiologist, I would be a fashion designer. Thank you. Next slide, please.
And I'm going to not present this slide, but just thank Dustin for submitting it. And he also wrote out his presentation. I'll just show the flight. He actually is at a conference and heading back right now. So he's on an airplane and can't come here and present today. Next slide, please.
Thank you. My name is Robert Shepard. I go by he, him, his pronouns, and I'm in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, working under the mentorship of Dr. Laura Sanchez. I am a third-year PhD candidate. I actually just took my qualifying exam on Tuesday, so just recently passed to candidacy. But my research explores, in a broad sense, the interface between nature, biochemistry, technology, and of course, medicine. Specifically, in recent years, interest has increased in the use of biosynthetic techniques to perform complex chemistry in a more environmentally friendly fashion. So using genetic modification, so we're able to engineer proteins that can actually perform diverse chemical reactions in green solvents, most notably water. But the challenge here is that screening for their activities is often, or for their chemical reactivities, is often a slow and arduous process. So my main project is working on employing novel analytical methods, namely a technology called trapped ion mobility spectrometry, to essentially try to expedite the analysis of novel engineered proteins by being able to create new ways of observing their chemical products. I'm also working on to develop high throughput mass spectrometry methods that expedite the identification of microbes via their ribosomal protein profiles, as well as the corresponding bioactive small molecules that they often use for chemical defense, and how we might be able to leverage those for therapeutic applications. when I'm not in the lab, I love skateboarding, biking, listening to music. I have a small cat that I love to hang out with. And I also really enjoy science communication and community involvement. And so I am currently part of UCSC's Women in Science and Engineering as the host for our public seminar series called Science on Tap, and where we just get students from campus and from the community, scientists from the community to give back to the public on the research that they do. So the ARCS scholarship really allows me to extend my involvement in more activities like this, and which is, in my opinion, an important aspect of scientific research as well. So thank you, and next slide.
Hello, everyone. I'm Meredith Stevers. I am a 6-year PhD graduate student in the Department of Molecular Cell and Developmental Biology, where I'm working in Dr. Melissa Drika's lab. I'm most interested in studying RNA biology and the effects of RNA mutations in human disease. This year, I was honored to receive the UCSC Court Mentor Award and the RNA Society Research Presentation Fellowship. And just this summer, I took part in a internship at Gilead in their oncology department. Just a couple fun facts about me is that I have a twin sister, and I was a member of the Michigan Marching Band back in 2012 to 2013. So the research that this ARC scholarship is funding is my thesis research looking at the importance of the stability of a structural feature of a non-coding RNA called the U2 snRNA, and the structural feature is known as the branch point interacting stem loop. And I'm looking to see how it's important for the proper splicing of pre-mRNAs in human cells and how mutations to the branch point interacting stem loop make cells susceptible to becoming cancerous. And this ARC scholarship is impactful for me in that it will provide me with protected time and funding for reagents that I need to complete some final key experiments that I need to finish up a manuscript I'm currently writing to share my research with the wider splicing field, and also to finish my thesis dissertation and graduate. So thank you all for your support, and it's great to meet you all today. And next slide, please.
Hi, I'm Alexis Teeter. I'm a 4th-year PhD candidate in the Applied Mathematics department. And my general areas of research are in optimization and control, which has all manners of different applications to it. One that I'm particularly interested in is in machine learning. And opportunities that I've had recently that I've been particularly excited about, in large part due to the ARC scholarship, was an opportunity to do a little bit of traveling this past summer and meet some of the collaborators that I've worked with in Europe and in Canada that had previously only been known to me via Zoom or even just email, as well as getting to know some other potential collaborators that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to meet with at all. So that was a very, very impactful travel experience for me. I'm also very interested in teaching pedagogy, particularly in terms of designing courses for high school or undergraduate students in advanced mathematics fields like data analytics and optimal control. So to make those fields a little bit more accessible and understandable at an earlier period in a scholar's journey. Specifically, the problem that I focus on with my ARCS-funded research is called the Schrödinger bridge problem, which is a stochastic optimal control problem focused on figuring out how to steer some initial distribution to some known terminal distribution in some set amount of time. So you can visualize that as having a pile of sand arranged in a very particular fashion, and we want to figure out grain by grain how we would best rearrange that to some new pile of sand. Practically speaking, we're not really talking about sand, we're talking about probability density functions. So many different possible applications come out of that, depending on how we choose to generalize it. One you can think about is determining the best way to steer a spacecraft from some initial position with some uncertainty involved, given maybe measurement error, and figuring out what velocity to apply to it to steer it to some final distribution or some final position with a little bit of uncertainty again built in. So our research focuses on not only determining new generalizations that can be solved and some of the applications involved there, but also mathematically determining how quickly that problem can be solved using our process, because it ends up becoming an algorithmic approach that we have to apply. So the ARC scholarship, as I mentioned, has been really impactful for me, particularly enabling me to do some traveling and really build my collaboration network. So thank you very much. And next slide.
That is the end of the presentations. Thank you all so very much. I'm looking at the time and it is already 3 o'clock. If we have 5 more minutes, I would just like to invite maybe a couple of comments or questions. I know we cannot go into details in depth of all the 16 presentations, but if there is any general comment or question, please let us know. And just speak up. I think that's the easiest.
I was wondering for the people in communications, how difficult it is for them to be able to get a particular scientist to present something that they can then put into layman's terms. Because, I mean, if you look at the spectrum of fields here, I mean, you know, it goes from A to Z. So I was wondering about the challenges of that because it's so important.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We ask a lot of questions. And yeah, I don't know. Rita, do you want to add anything else? I think it helps to have both Rita and I have a background in science, so we have some foundation. And I think I really see myself as like playing a translating role. So in some ways it's good to not understand everything because you can kind of imagine the perspective of your readers. Yeah, Rita, do you want to jump in with anything?
Yeah, I agree with everything Anna said. And I'd say everyone here obviously loves talking about their research, and so do all of the people we interview. So it's just a matter of sort of asking the right questions to get them to tell you just that weird little thing that happened that will connect with the general public, and then making that into a story. So it is a lot of sort of like translating from science speak into normal speak, and also a bit of storytelling added in there.
Thank you. If there is one more question, I think we will have time for that, but I do understand if people need to leave if they have other commitments.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say everyone did such a wonderful job presenting their research and giving us a little sense of who they are as people and what they do in their spare time. And I just want to thank you all for taking the time to speak so concisely and clearly about the wonderful work you're all doing.
Hear, hear. And are there some closing comments from ARCS before we go? Yeah.
Thank you. I think Jerry, this
yeah.
was the time where I hand it over to you, Jerry DiVecchio. She is the in charge of scholar relations.
Thank you. Am I on? Yes, I'm turned on. Okay. Well, at any rate, you are right. I am Jerry DiVecchio, and I am with Scholar Relations. You're now part of ARCS Scholar Community of Excellence, and we're here to make your selection as an ARCS Scholar as valuable as possible. To learn more about how we can help you, visit our website, ARCS NCC. Here you'll find routes that connect you to LinkedIn, brown bag lunches, and current and alum scholars. We are also seeking speakers for our meetings and events and for short stories and video clips that we can share among scholars, members, and readers, so don't be shy. I give special thanks to USC scholar Frankie Garrity, who recently spoke at an ARCS meeting in San Francisco, explaining fascinating facts about our abundant coyotes. And it's been mentioned that on April 21st next year at the ARCS at Bunova, we will gather to celebrate you, our scholars, and 50+ years of investing in young sciences. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. And I think it is my turn now to close this meeting and thank all of you for being here. Thank you to the scholars for presenting your fascinating work and research and for making time for this meeting. But above all, thanks to the ARCS Foundation for attending this meeting, for your genuine interest in our scholars, your active engagement with them, and most importantly, for the trust that you place in our scholars. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Thank you. See you in San Francisco. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks for the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.